miscommunication and misunderstandings, tech mayhem and crossed wires, delays and derailments, saying the quiet thing loud. That's right, everyone. It's Mercury Retrograde. Do you know where your patience is?
Ooh, spooky stuff. But not really. It's just Mercury retrograde. There's nothing to fear. Mercury retrograde, it happens 3 times per year at least. So it's so normal, it's almost boring. Maybe there's something scary about how normal and mundane it is. But truly, it's like Mercury is in the microwave again. I mean, I guess it must be August. This particular Mercury retrograde begins on July 18th. Mercury will station at 15 degrees of Leo, move backwards through the sign until it reaches 4 degrees, and then it will station direct on August 11th. Now, that's not to downplay the annoyance of a Mercury retrograde. It can be very frustrating to deal with all the mishaps and miscommunications and the delays and the complete reversals of plans and projects and all the conversations that can go wrong. Tone of voice can be misunderstood. We send the wrong email. We don't send the email at all. We buy the wrong thing or forget to buy the thing in the first place. And there's usually 1 or 2 things we have to revisit, rework, reconfigure, and it feels frustrating because it's like, haven't we already been here and done this? But these things are all so normal, and maybe remembering the mundanity of it all is the way to get through the retrograde relatively unscathed. It's normal to make mistakes, right? Like, we are only human. It's normal to run into delays and unexpected obstacles that force us to reroute. Periods of review and reflection are not only normal, they can be incredibly valuable. We do not live in a linear world. Everything is very much a spiral. Everything is cyclical. There's this quote that I love from The Haunting of Hill House, and it's something I think about a lot, but I think it might be especially helpful when we are thinking about time. So there's a character, Nell, the youngest sister of the family, and she's talking about how for the longest time she thought time moved in a linear fashion. You know, it moved like dominoes, one tipping into the next. Like, our moments are these dominoes, one tipping into the next, forming this long line from the beginning of life to the end of life. But she has come to realize that our moments actually fall around us like rain or snow or confetti. So whenever I find myself pulled back into something, you know, a feeling, a conversation, a situation, a task, whatever it might be, and I'm thinking, why the fuck am I here again? I think, okay, it's another piece of confetti, right? It hasn't all fallen yet. I'm not done here. And why would I want to move on before I'm done? But this kind of spiralic thinking doesn't always feel normal or very easy to accept and embrace because of the kind of like hustle culture, bow to the capitalistic gods kind of world that we live in. There's this sense that we always need to be moving forward and making progress and thinking about the future. And oh my God, I'm exhausted just thinking about that. Every Mercury retrograde, I see these Mercury retrograde survival guides going around, like circulating social media. And like, I get it. They're super cute. And some of them are actually legitimately helpful and handy, but I do wonder if they might be slightly damaging in the way that they train us to think that Mercury retrograde is a time when only survival is possible. And who says we can't thrive during a Mercury retrograde? Because again, it's a very normal occurrence. And like, where are the survival guides for when Mercury is direct and we don't have any planets to blame our very human oopsies on? So that's a very long-winded way of saying, let's not freak out. Let's remember that a retrograde is often a second chance, a grace period, an opportunity to get something so right. Honestly, it's kind of a gift from the cosmos that says, listen, sweetie, you're going to want to do another draft on that. And before you show your entire ass out there, we're going to go ahead and delete that file for you so that you kind of have to start fresh. And actually, you're going to be so pleased because this next draft has a way better joke, a more profound take, and you're going to have way more pride in it. Again, not to downplay the annoyance of files getting deleted randomly or going missing, or when you like record a video about Mercury retrograde and then realize that your microphone wasn't working the entire time. So now you just have a video of you silently sort of gesturing and gesticulating towards the camera. But it happens. And this version's gonna be better. And circling back to that theme of pride, this Mercury retrograde is happening in Leo, which is a sign that teaches us to meaningfully engage with a healthy sense of pride, teaches us how to value ourselves and our accomplishments. But with Mercury retrograde here, there could be some moments of bragging and boasting in ways that aren't great or super becoming, and we or whoever is acting in these ways might not even mean for their words to come out that way, but they still do. So that's something to watch out for. Leo is a very extroverted sign. It's a very like, here I am kind of energy. So, Mercury in Leo wants to say something loudly and in a flashy and performative kind of way. And I don't really mean fake performative, but more so like, I'm so excited about this thing and let's have a fucking parade about it because why not? So the flubs, the bloopers, the mistakes of this Mercury retrograde could be kind of loud and on display and under a spotlight. So double, triple, quadruple check the data before we proclaim something. Now, kind of on the flip side, we might also experience a bit of a difficulty speaking from a place of confidence. We might not feel so bold or brave about our big visions and ideas. We might actually be forced to keep some things quiet, or we might find ourselves second guessing certain things that we felt very confident about, very sure of, even just 2 weeks ago. Now, Leo is, of course, ruled by the sun. The sun is the center of the solar system for us, and so it does represent leaders. And this Mercury retrograde might see some leaders making mistakes in very overt ways. We might also be learning some lessons about, the leadership roles that we have in our own lives, the ways that we choose to lead or choose not to lead. We might be reevaluating certain roles in our lives, deciding whether or not, we still want to continue to engage with them, or how we have been perceiving those kinds of roles in our lives, or how our language can deeply affect and impact those that we do have power over. Because with our words, we can uplift and affirm, or we can really shit on someone. We might also be reevaluating certain standards that we have. Leo is often associated with royalty, and it's really this energy of like, I know my value, I know my worth, I know what I deserve, and I'm just kind of unwilling to settle for less. So Mercury, a planet of language and communication, being retrograde in this sign might have us thinking like, how do we talk to ourselves and others in terms of value and worth, and how might that need to change? Okay, last thing I want to point out about this Mercury retrograde is that on the day that Mercury stations, it's going to form a sextile with Venus. So if this were a natal chart, if the moment of Mercury's retrograde station was to be somebody's natal chart, but let's just say it's the natal chart for Mercury retrograde, this Venus sextile Mercury would be baked into that chart. It would be infused into the life of whoever this person is. So as it stands, this Mercury sextile Venus is infused into the entire retrograde cycle, and that is really lovely. This type of conversation between Mercury and Venus is so cooperative. It is a little bit of gentle, loving support. It's something that helps to soften the blow. It's a sign of collaboration and a reminder that we do not have to go this life, everything alone. This suggests that there are creative solutions to our problems, that we can use art and music and poetry and storytelling and beauty to help get us through any rough patches we might find ourselves in during the retrograde. Venus is over in Gemini, which is Mercury's sign, and so this is giving some mirror energy. I feel like Venus is showing up to remind Mercury who the fuck they are. And so there could be somebody in your life showing up for you, reminding you of all your greatness. Maybe you're that person for somebody else. Maybe there's a situation you're in that helps remind you of who you are. Maybe it's a piece of information that triggers a memory of a time when you went through something similar or something even worse, and all of the people and the tools that helped you get through that. And here's your warning, okay? Here's your warning. A sappy, sentimental, tender moment from Jay approaches, and possibly cringy and corny as well, and cliche. Don't say I didn't warn you. And as my bestie would say, go and grab the Subway napkins because you might need them. To me, I think the biggest lesson, maybe let's call it opportunity, the biggest opportunity of this particular Mercury retrograde is to consider that there is no destination, only the journey. I warned you. If we're not living presently, There is no present in living, or, something much more profound than that. But for real, I think the Mercury sextile Venus that is infused into this whole retrograde cycle is really like something so pleasant, so sweet, that really reminds us of how important the present moment is. It's really all that we have, and if we can just find the little bits of joy in that present moment, how might that shift our perspective? And I'm going to leave you with some poetry on this.
Excuse me, just grabbing my book of poetry.
Okay, so today's selected poetry comes from A Bit Much. That's me. Anyway, A Bit Much by Lindsay Rush, and the poem is called Be Fry Saint Ends, or Best Friends. I send you a rambling voice note about how maybe I should try a different shade of brow tint this time. A little lighter, not so harsh. What do you think? You know the passcode to my phone, and the name of that guy I met on Bumble who cried about the movie Groundhog Day, and how much it hurt to leave Chicago. We've lost hours plotting paint colors, text replies, outfits, trips, what will happen on the next Insecure, what to do with our lives, why are men, who to trust, when to let go. You're a soft place to land, a hard, wheezing laugh, the closest I'll come to another sister. I used to think all of this in-between stuff was the intermission, the rest stops along the way, the amuse-bouche, the filler flowers, but lately I've come to realize that all this small stuff is the stuff. This is it, the main event, the blue plate special, a million little drops of love that fill the whole cup. Damn. So that's a thing too, tell your friends that you love them. Be the Venus in this Venus-Mercury combo. Be the words of love or support. Be the soft place for them to land. Okay, I'm going to go before I cry. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. Wishing you the most beautiful of Mercury retrogrades. Let me know in the comments how you feel about it, what you are expecting your Mercury retrograde story to be. Where's it happening in your chart? Where's Leo for you? Let me know. And where's Gemini for you? Where's that little boost of help from Venus coming from in your chart? Would love to know. Okay, thank you so much for being here. I will be back soon with more astrology insights and other cosmic chit chat. But until then, everyone, I'll catch you in the cosmos.
That's right, everyone. It's Mercury retrograde. Do you really know where that last little bit? Huh? Think about it. Get back to me.